Now I'm going to talk about the mapping types. So in Python, the one type under this category is called dict, or short for dictionary. So this is when you create a map, they want to map one value to another. So at the beginning, we talked about the hash function and how it is used in hash table, right? So in a hash table, we want to map a hashable value to any arbitrary object. Okay, so the value that will be used as the key, or like the one that to be used for the mapping, has to be hashable, so therefore has to be immutable. The value that would be used to be mapped to doesn't have to be immutable, doesn't have to be hashable, so it can be mutable. All right. Now, currently the only implementation of the hash table in Python is the dictionary, and for short, it's called dict. Okay, the elements in the dictionary are key value pairs separated by commas. So just like the other iterables, the elements are separated by commas, right? Now here in the dictionary, every element has two components, one for the key and one for the value. The key needs to be hashable, okay? Therefore, needs to be immutable. The value doesn't matter whether it's hashable or not, it doesn't matter. Okay, now the key will be used as an index, so that's why it needs to be hashable. But the value is not going to be used as an index, so it doesn't matter. All right, so if we try to do something like this, it is fine because this string is immutable, so it can be used as a key. All right. But the other way around, we cannot use the list as a key because the list is mutable, therefore it is unhashable. So cannot be used as an index, so it can be used as a it cannot be used as a key. So there are situations in which we want to map a list to something else. In that case, we just turn it into a tuple. Okay? Now, if you want to look at the different ways to create a dictionary, we can have something like this. We can map a number to a string. Numbers and strings, both of them are immutable, so it doesn't matter which one is used as the index. Okay, so this is valid. The other way around is also valid. I can use a string as a map, as a key. Here, a key that maps to a list, that's fine. A string is immutable, so it can be used as a key. The list is mutable, but we're using it as a value, not the key, so that's fine. If we try the other way around, we'll get an error. Okay? We would have to turn it into a tuple if we want to use it as a key. So let's try this out. Yeah. So let's say I'm gonna define a number to str map. So this is my dictionary. Okay, so I can do this. So dictionary, just like when we defined a set, we used square brackets. Oh, sorry. When we defined a list, we used the square brackets. When we defined a tuple, we used round parentheses. When we defined a set, we used curly brackets. Also, when we define dictionary, we need curly brackets. Okay, so it shares that curly brackets surrounding with a set. Now, if I leave it empty like this, and empty curly brackets means empty dictionary, it doesn't mean empty set. Okay, now inside the dictionary, the elements of the dictionary also separated by commas. But every element has two components. There is a key and there is a value. So the key comes first, and then we use a colon and then the value. So now we are mapping a number to its the string, the spelled out version of it. So let's say this is 1 maps to 1 as a string, 2 maps to 2 as a string, 3 maps to 3 as a string. Okay, So now I can see what's inside here. It looks like this. All right, now I can use the key as an index, right? So if I say the name of the dictionary, and then inside the square brackets of the index, and then I use the key, it will give me the corresponding value. Okay, and then I use the index here. It give me the index of 2. It will give me the corresponding value, which is 2. Okay, now just like I'm using the index to read the corresponding value, I can use it to write on the corresponding value. So let's say instead, like I made a mistake and I made the 2 as with a small instead of with a capital T. So I want to change that. So just like I use the index in order to read the value, I can use the key as an index to write on the value. So I can do this just like we use the index to write in the list. We can do that too. Now we are going to overwrite the corresponding value like this. Okay, so now if I try to do like that, I can see that it's the new value there. Now, what if I try to read a value that doesn't exist? So if I do something like this, it will give me an error. You're trying to read a key that doesn't exist. Okay? But what if I try to write into a key that doesn't exist? It is not going to give me an error. It will add both the key and the value to the dictionary. Okay, so see, when I write to a key that doesn't exist, it will be added as a new key value pair to the dictionary. But if I try to read a key that doesn't exist, it will give me an error. Okay, now I can also use the opposite. The string can be used as a key because the string is mutable, is immutable. Okay, so I can use the string as a key like this. And just like I used the key, the keys that were numbers as indices, I can use the keys that are the strings as indices. So I can use the index like this. It will give me the corresponding value. All right. Oh. Okay, so I changed the original value now. So I copied the old values before that change, so that's why it gave me that error. Okay. Now I can use the key. So let's say we want a string to list map. So this is the name of my dictionary. Okay, equal. I can use something like this. This is the odd value. So this is my key, and then the list that corresponds to it, it looks like this. And the other key that I have is another string, even, and then the value that corresponds to it is a list that looks like this. So when I try to see it, okay, again, I can use the keys as index, all right? And I can change the key, so it will give me different corresponding value as well. All right, now what if I try to do the opposite? If I try to map list to str map like this, I try to do the opposite. it will give an error. Okay, saying that you cannot use a list as a key because list is unhashable. So there are situations in which we want to use a list as a key. All right, in that case, we will have to turn it into a tuple. Okay, because a tuple is the collection similar to the list, only difference is that it is not mutable. Okay, and in that case, I can use it as an index, just like I use this the string as an index. I can use this the tuple that has 1, 3, 5 as an index, and will give me. Oh, sorry, I used the wrong name. I used the wrong name. See here, I should use the list. Now, the name of the dictionary says list, but it is actually a tuple. We had to turn it into a tuple in order to use it as a key. So in that case, it will give me the corresponding value.